Fine, Nagash. Guess who will contribute to the Bone Tithe? Bonsoir, fellow mini enthusiasts. I'm so excited. It's always a pleasure to make an Artsy Dive on Ossiarch Bonereapers, the cooler skeletons of Age of Sigmar. Why? Because they are literally little works of art. The Mortisans, so basically they're mages, use bone dust and necromantic magic to sculpt their own soldiers. Artists should totally relate to this army. Any hobbyist obsessed with green stuff should too. And then you have me, a lover of both art and horror. And you give me an army of cursed Play-Doh with infinite design potential? Plus you tell me that bad skellies get jail time in horse booties? Yes, take my money. That's an army for me. Anyway, let's start our artsy dive into the new models announced during the 2026 preview stream. Starting with the showrunner, quite literally. The Liege-Kavalos War Chariot is described as a master strategist, racing around the battlefield deftly avoiding attacks while commanding crushing, coordinated charges. And we get some very funny lore here. Apparently, the Mortisans put their skill to great use by constructing sinister new war chariots from Liege-Kavalos who originally mocked the idea of these maneuverable war machines. So yeah, mock the Mortisan and you get demoted to horsepower. That is a very interesting way to get rid of haters. So, does the miniature do the job? Yes, absolutely. What an amazing silhouette, it's aggressively spiky. Even the cloth looks like it made a conscious decision to stay angular, just to increase the intimidation factor. This mini screams bad times. And you gotta love those forbidden ponies. You can probably pet them exactly twice. But then you won't have an arm left to pet anything with ever again. They could kill you with any part of their body, look at those scorpion-like tails. I also love the stacked armor plating. That core Ossiarch visual language is everywhere, including on the chariot itself. The metal and bone blend beautifully. The standout elements for me are the side banners. Now, will they survive the first transport? Probably not. But they look amazing, frame the model perfectly, and echo the Liege-Kavalos head crest. And speaking of him, look at that face. Calm, calculating, and razor-sharp teeth. And Sue's relaxed hand on the reins shows confidence and control. Overall, this miniature is nightmarely epic. My tiniest nitpick? I wish the wheel blade looked a bit more menacing, but since the focus is clearly on the clever commander rather than the raw brutality, I'm totally fine with it. Next, the Kavalos War Chariot, drawn by Osseous Steed Constructs. Unlike living steed, these are unshakably obedient and can perform maneuvers that would cause flesh and blood horses to panic. They were apparently created to match the pace of the Luminate Rim lords, which is a really weird bit of lore to me. What do you mean match the pace? Are the fancy elves way faster than I thought, or is a word missing here? Unless I skipped something obvious in the article, I'm assuming they made the Luminous Cavalry? But even then, don't the Ossiarch already have cavalry? Hey Kavaloy, apparently you're slow, dude. Yeah, rude, I know. That or it's Katakros secret kink, watching Luminate get crushed by chariots? Hey, we don't judge here. Jokes aside, actually no wait, let me make another one. This guy looks like he's living his best life. Doesn't he give massive Rook energy? Or maybe he's gone completely insane. Hard to tell with such a smile. Also, I don't understand why this guy even bother with a whip when the ponies' butts are made of bones, but hey, weird lore aside, the sculpt quality is incredible and it still instantly reads as an Ossiarch murder chariot, and that's what matters. Moving on to the Liege-Morteks, and surprisingly we get a lot of lore for them. They act as lieutenants to the Liege-Kavalos. Let me summarize the rest. Too many scavens, too many fronts, not enough place you can be at once, even with fast evil ponies. Solution: mass-produce tiny leaders, cram their skull with centuries of martial knowledge, and give them a pet bird so they can tweak their commander updates. Boom! More adaptable army. So, do the mini tell that story well? I think they do. They look like competent leaders without being overly fancy, which makes sense since they're mass-produced by Mortisans. Strong silhouette, clear commanding poses, and we get 3 distinct variants, which is very welcome. Different helmets, different weapons, all nicely detailed. The shield is there, technically, hidden under that cape. It's a taste thing. I can see how it adds personality like dramatic turn and wind, but personally not my favorite choice. Still, very solid minis. The Mortek Triaxes are the second iteration of a range cohort for the Ossiarch Empire. And here again, the lore is both fun and terrifying. Katakros apparently took forever to accept the need for more archers and basically bullied his ossifactors into making something more efficient and more horrible. The Triaxes add a new dimension to Ossiarch armies. They have bone grafted over one eye socket, a vertical row of eyes on the other side, and a third empowered eye imbued by the Soul Masons. The third eye lets them see an enemy's spiritual aura before they break cover. So yes, they installed the wall hack. Boo, cheaters! And as if that wasn't enough, each cohort has a pet three-legged walking cauldrons called Balefire Brasier, used to light arrows with searing soul essence. So, do the minis sell that story? Oh yes! So their faces only Mama Soul Masons could love. And honestly, I love them too. This is such a clever take on archery when you're not limited by biology. They rearrange their eye like the camera lenses on your phone, and it's so fun. The skull shapes are wild. The silhouettes are perfect. The leaders, especially with his bird, is a clear callback to Falconeers. We also see no pauldrons for mobility and more close than standard Mortar Guard. And Sue's little evil calcifer, the screaming faces in the flames sell the existential dread hard. These are my favorite designs so far. Novel, creepy and very inspired. Last but not least, the Mortis Reapers. Making Edna Mod furious with Sue's cloaks, these assassins excel at sneaking behind enemy lines to eliminate key targets. Basically, Katakros is done with Cavan leaders and decide to throw ninjas at the problem. What I initially thought were smoke bombs are actually necro caches, containers of grave sand, littered by Nagash all across Shaish. This sand desiccates the flesh on contact, leaving only bones, human jerky instantly. And if that wasn't scary enough, they share a unified mind, so synchronized that they unnerve even other Ossiarchs. Wait, Bone Reapers can get unnerved? Well damn. So, do the mini tell that story well? Yes, they do. Strong Assassin's Creed vibe, dynamic poses, mysterious silhouette. And being the only ones without armor make them look faster and more agile. That say, GW spoiled me with the Triaxes. I would have loved one unique physical trait tied to their function. Bestial legs, Archai-inspired anatomy maybe. Something that screamed parkour and murder. And yes, this is even greedier, but how cool would it have been to show one of them actively desiccating someone with gravesand? Just to really hammer home this atrocity, but visually. I mean, they do the job, but they could have been perfect. All jokes aside, these are very good miniatures. Will I buy them all? Probably, unfortunately for my wallet. Will I someday try to convert the Reaper's legs? Yeah, in the far, far future, when my pile of shame forgives me. One last silly note, what do you think about the mandatory modest loincloths on Bone Reapers? I always finding funny that hiding this part of the anatomy is apparently essential. Meanwhile, Mortar Guards have their metaphorical butt cheek out, living free. And on promo art, they always paint the loincloth super light compared to the rest, accidentally making it the first thing your eyes lands on. It's probably just a me thing. Thank you so much for staying until the end. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to join the Gobelin gang, leave a like to motivate my goblin butt cheeks with sweet dopamine. Oh, and leave 3 bones emoji in the comments so I know you're part of this secret end of the video club. And as always, bonne chance with your hobby les amis.